Greetings fellow gamers, I'm the Soulsborne Seeker and today I'll be reviewing Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, a gothic horror action Metroidvania title released by Artplay during the summer of 2021 and available for PC, PS4, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, Amazon Luna, as well as the now discontinued Google Stadia. Bloodstained was a highly anticipated game in the genre since it was produced by none other than Koji Igarashi, otherwise known as Iga, the man considered by many to have played a definitive role in the success of the Castlevania series back during his Konami days, having worked on many titles of the franchise, including the critically acclaimed Symphony of the Night. After leaving Konami in 2014, Iga founded Artplay and launched a Kickstarter campaign for Bloodstained, which was advertised as a spiritual successor to the Castlevania games. With such a strong and trustworthy name behind the wheel, the project was able to meet its funding goal within 4 hours after its launch, and finished a month later with a mind-blowing $5.5 million in funding, effectively becoming one of the most successful Kickstarter projects to date. Having completed everything in the main game, as well as played a lot of the extra content, it's not hard to see that Bloodstained is meant as a love letter to the fans of the original Castlevania series, as well as lovers of the Metroidvania genre itself. The question is, does it manage to pay homage to the games that inspired it while still maintaining its own identity, or is it just a very expensive clone? Let's dive into it and find out. Story-wise, Bloodstained takes place in 18th century England during the Industrial Revolution and focuses on the destruction that was brought about by the Alchemy Guild, a powerful collective whose fear of losing its influence over their wealthy patrons led them down an apocalyptic path. Wanting to prove that they are still necessary, the guild members researched methods of summoning demons to the world as a scare tactic. To do that, they created the Shardbinders, unfortunate humans that were forcibly fused with demonic crystals and then sacrificed to open a portal to the demon realm. However, what started as an intimidation attempt by the guild quickly escalated to mass slaughter as the otherworldly abominations wreaked uncontrollable havoc, wiping out most of the guild members and butchering countless innocents before the church was finally able to banish them back to hell. Among the surviving population were two Shardbinders, Jibo, who somehow managed to avoid being sacrificed, and Miriam, who fell into a deep, unnatural slumber right before her sacrifice could take place. Fast forward 10 years later, Miriam suddenly awakens to find the world once again ravaged by demonic forces that have been summoned by none other than Jibel himself, who is seemingly on a path for vengeance as retaliation for what the guild did to him. Accompanied by a former guild member, Miriam embarks on a quest to stop her fellow Shardbinder from bringing about the end of all things, and send the demons back where they came from. The plot is simple and relatively straightforward, which serves the game just fine since most of the focus has been placed on gameplay, though I will say it contains some great Easter eggs that will make those who have had previous Castlevania experience smile a bit. Speaking about gameplay, Bloodstained focuses on combat and exploration with platforming elements, and thankfully it does both incredibly well. When it comes to the fighting aspect, Miriam has a variety of different ways at her disposal for defeating the legions of monstrosities that will cross her path, most of which are quite entertaining to utilize. On a basic level, the game features an equipment system that allows you to use numerous different types of weapons, ranging from daggers and swords all the way to guns and spears, effectively giving you many different options on how to approach combat. On top of that, you also have the shard system, which adds an additional layer of welcome complexity in the mix. As a Shardbinder, Miriam has the ability to absorb shards that are dropped by her enemies, crystals that contain various active and passive skills that can be utilized to improve your battle capabilities, as well as make environmental traversal more exciting by allowing you to access previously inaccessible areas. Weapons and magic aside, you can also equip accessories like rings, amulets, and masks in order to further enhance your offensive or defensive style. The one thing about combat that left a sour taste in my mouth had to do with the system of combos that the game features. Depending on the weapon you are brandishing, there are different combinations of buttons you can press in order to perform special attacks for increased damage. While that is great to have as an option, I never really found myself in any need to use it since I was able to slash my way through the enemies by spamming the basic combo of each weapon I had at the time. I would have liked it if they had made said system a bit more integral to the game, maybe by making certain enemies vulnerable to specific combo attacks since, as things ended up being, it felt more like an afterthought. In terms of setting and exploration, this wouldn't be a spiritual successor to Castlevania if it wasn't taking place within an immense, imposing castle with sprawling rooms and catacombs, and this is exactly what Bloodstained delivers. As Miriam, you will get to journey through opulent chambers, clockwork towers, musty underground caverns, and hellish deserts, just to name a few of the biomes that await you on your way to end the demonic invasion. While the game is mostly taking place within said castle, exploration never gets stale since the place is divided into different areas with distinct characteristics as well as their own groups of enemies, making each next room a wonder of what you may expect and this is probably the most fun aspect of this title. Nothing compares to the joy of managing to access a new area and trying to discover its secrets, or gaining a new ability that allows you to go back and finally be able to get to that ledge that was just out of reach and see what hides inside the chest or behind the secret door. Bloodstained taps into the sense of discovery that gnaws at the back of the head of every Metroidvania fan by giving you an expansive setting filled with secrets and mysteries, some of which are much better hidden than others, but all of them rewarding to uncover. The only negative I will give to the game's setting is related to its presentation. While the sense of exploration is wonderful, I have to say that the game's graphics took away from it a bit. That's not to say that Bloodstained doesn't look good, but I found the art style to be somewhat unremarkable and not befitting of a game that was able to amass such a huge budget. Same goes for the animations, since the movement of most characters came across a bit clunky and not as smooth as you would expect it to be. Talking about things that didn't resonate with me entirely, I also found the game's bosses to be a mixed bag. While there were certain big bads that were quite memorable, with battles that were fun and challenging, I found most of the game's main bosses to be relatively simplistic and forgettable, mainly in terms of their design. I did like the fact that there were several secret villains aside from the ones you go up against during the main story, and there were many fights that required perseverance and fast reflexes to overcome, but I think the game would have benefited from a bit more attention in this area. With all that being said, is Bloodstained a game that can stand on its own 2 feet, or is it doomed to stay in the shadow of the games that inspired it? After spending more than 16 hours with it, I can safely say that Bloodstained successfully pays tribute to its spiritual predecessors, while at the same time establishing itself as a Metroidvania franchise to be reckoned with. While it features several Easter eggs and nods to the Castlevania franchise, especially Symphony of the Night, they always felt more like loving reminders for the people who grew up with those games instead of gimmicks to tag at your nostalgia strings and redirect your attention from an otherwise mediocre title. In conclusion, I truly enjoyed my time with Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I had fun with the combat, loved every second of exploration and discovery, and frequently found myself smiling when recognizing a cleverly incorporated homage to the Castlevania games I grew up with. Even though I was a bit underwhelmed by the visual presentation and bosses, it was never enough to take away from the gameplay experience. With a solid main campaign as well as a significant number of extra content, this game is a must-play for fans of the titles that inspired it. My final verdict on Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is 8 out of 10. What did you think about Bloodstained Ritual of the Night? Have you played it yet? Do you agree with the points I mentioned, or do you see things differently? Let me know in the comments below, and please subscribe if you enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, Soulsborne Seeker out.